My name is Paul Tyler. I'm a primary school teacher at Kirkhill Primary School in just outside Glasgow in Scotland. I've been teaching for about 18 years, just coming up to 19 years now, and I've been leading science and STEM for most of that time. My background is in biochemistry. Um, I kind of got into AI a bit by accident. But once I had got into it, realized how engaging it was for the children, especially the really young ones. And so spent quite a lot of time then developing a series of resources that I've tested in my school and I've shared with other schools across Scotland who've also now tested the materials. So everything you see today is kind of tried and tested. Um, just start off then with looking at some of the language of artificial intelligence, and I always start this with the children, get them to tell me what they know, the terms they know, the words they know, and then we make a kind of a bank of those words that we keep as we go through the topic, and as we sort of get to understand each one, we tick them off. So the ones on the screen here we're going to come across today. Obviously, artificial intelligence, big data, machine learning, large language model, generative AI, data analysis, and data literacy. So we'll kind of tackle these as we go through today. I like to start off with what they think artificial intelligence and machine learning are. I've yet to come across a child who, probably from the age of about 8 and up, who's not heard of them. And so they all have an idea about what they are, and whether that idea is a kind of very science fiction idea and a very futuristic idea, or whether it's a bit more realistic and they have a genuine idea about what they are. It's always interesting to find out. And what I then like to do is to put those questions into various large language models and get the answer from the AI itself. So this is a definition of artificial intelligence written by Google Gemini. And it's kind of when I put these prompts in, I always say, a definition for a 10-year-old or for an 8-year-old. And it's very, very good at kind of tailoring the language and the examples that it used. I'm not going to read through this. You can read it yourself, and you'll get the presentation, so you'll be able to go back and read it. But getting the definitions from the AI itself is a really nice way of kind of introducing it. This was a definition of big data that came from Google Gemini, and this was actually shared with me by a pupil who had gone home and, with their parents' help, gone onto Google Gemini and asked Google Gemini what big data was. And we'll come sort of more about big data later on. But I really liked this because it gave those examples of big data, things like social media, things like websites, and big data. The big data is collecting the pages that we visit on the internet, what you click on, how long you stay there, all the sensors that your phone carries or your car carries. All that data is collected. I was talking to some kids at school the other day, and I was telling them about my my monthly email from Google, from Google Maps, which tells me exactly where I've been, how long I spent there, and how I got there. And so, oh, my presentation has disappeared temporarily. And so it's really good to get these definitions from the artificial intelligence itself. And there's a wee definition there of machine learning. This was written by ChatGPT 3.5. It's also a really nice way of just showing the children the different tools. At primary school, I wouldn't be letting the children on ChatGPT yet. I have let them use Google Gemini on a couple of occasions. And I've certainly encouraged them to have a go at home with their parents there. But I'll talk a little bit more about that later. So big data is all about these huge, diverse collections of information, and they're growing at almost exponential rates. And whether it's healthcare information, whether it's social media data about the number of users on different social media platforms, the number of messages that are sent on different social media platforms, the number of videos that are uploaded to YouTube every day and TikTok every day. It's that all that data around consumer patterns, what we're buying. And I'm sure you've all had that experience, and children are usually well used to it when I talk to them, you have a conversation at home about, oh, we really need to buy a new TV. And for the next 3 weeks, you get bombarded on everything you go on your phone, on your laptop, by adverts for TV. And it's those consumer patterns, it's that data that's collected, the data that our supermarkets collect. And I'm assuming this is probably similar picture across Europe to the UK, where you have your sort of your shop's loyalty card, and every time you go there, you scan your card, and they're collecting that data about everything that you are buying. Mapping data, I've talked about my monthly email from Google Maps already. The weather data, a huge amount of weather data that's collected every day, and also our media consumption, things like what we're watching on Netflix. I was reading an article just last night, actually, about how Netflix and Amazon Prime actually make decisions on what they're going to make next based on the data they collect from what people are watching. And they will target certain audiences with certain shows based on what they've been watching historically. So if we look at a specific example, and this is from the Met Office in the UK, but the European Centre for Medium Range Weather also uses these exact same computers and collects about the same amount of data. So the Met Office collects 250 billion bits of data every day. And this is the Cray supercomputer, which is capable of performing 14,000 trillion calculations every second, which is just mind-blowing. I saw an interview with a forecaster from the Met Office who was saying if every single person on Earth was involved doing the calculations to predict the weather, we would be able to predict the weather for last week in about 5 years' time. And yet the Met Office and the European Centre for Medium Range Weather are relatively accurately predicting 24 hours, 36 hours in the future. So huge amounts of data, almost incomprehensible. And these computers that perform in these trillions of calculations. There are loads of examples of big data that you can get hold of to show your children, or if you're working with slightly older children, even use with the children. So you can access weather data. You can access historical weather data, both across Europe and across the world, relatively easily online. You can access the European Air Quality Index, which I think collects air quality data from around 400 sites across Europe. And that data is readily available, both up to date and historic. If any of you have ever come across the Worldometer website, and I'll possibly post it in the chat when I've finished talking, that is an amazing wealth of data on population, on the economy, on society and media and social media. There's data there about the environment. There's data there about food use and water use around the world. And you can go back and look at historical data trends over time. You can also look at things like the real-time electricity generation trackers. We have the National Grid one in the UK, but there's also one for Europe, which looks at any particular point, how is electricity being generated that we're all using. Really interesting to talk to children about this. How does AI and machine learning, how's it already affecting their lives? And they'll come up with all sorts of things. And the answer is, for your average child, probably anywhere across the world, particularly particularly across the UK and Europe, their lives are massively impacted by AI and machine learning. And AI is already responsible for making and helping them make and nudging them in the direction of a lot of decisions that they make, whether that's around online shopping, whether it's around smart TV suggestions, whether it's around predictive text or photo editing. Um, AI is here and it's here to stay, and our children are being directly impacted by it every day. And this is what started me off really on this project, was this idea of, if our children are interacting with this and using this every day, they need to know a bit about it. They need to know how it works and what it's doing. So I broke AI down into two very, very broad categories. The first one is generative, and this is all about creating new things, creating new texts, whether that's with Gemini or ChatGPT, creating images, whether that's with DALL-E or whether it's with a piece of software, software package, something like Canva. And I'm not sure the situation across Europe, but certainly in the UK, our children at school are able to access Canva for free, the sort of education version of it. Whether it's making music, and my little girl this morning, she's been desperate to get onto making some music with AI, and I finally downloaded something for her this morning, and she's got home from school today and made 3 or 4 tracks already towards her first album. Or whether it's making video. This is something we're increasingly seeing. And I think the kind of the AI around this has been speeded up, particularly by the presidential election in the United States. Analytical AI is the other side of it, and this is the side that's really looking at the big data. So using AI to analyze medical scans, and you'll find lots and lots of stories about this in the press, about how good AI is at looking at scans of all sorts of things and being able to pick out the ones that really need to be looked at then by a human. Weather forecasting I've already touched on, and both across Europe and across the UK, they're increasingly using AI to work through the data rather than having people working through it. Sports betting is another one. Sports betting now is an international venture. People in Germany are betting on cricket happening in India, and all sorts of things. And all of that AI is being used now to target certain people and groups of people with certain sports that they think they're interested in. And obviously consumer behavior, and most of the supermarkets now, certainly in the UK, are using AI to churn through the enormous quantities of data that they're producing. So what did I want for the children? Well, what I wanted really was a series of what I call unplugged events. And if any of you have come across Barefoot Computing, they have lots and lots of unplugged computing activities. And these are activities where the children aren't having to sit in front of a screen to learn about AI. And although AI is all about computers, I'm very conscious, certainly in my school, that the children I'm teaching spend an awful lot of their day sitting in front of a screen already. So I wanted some activities for them which were not screen based. So the first one is a really simple activity, and it's actually an activity that I've been doing in a different context for quite a few years, but have sort of adapted it and tweaked it for AI. And the idea of it is you give the children a supermarket till receipt, and you ask them, what can you tell about these people's lives from their till receipt? Can you tell if they are single? Can you tell if they have a family? Can you tell if they have children? If so, can you kind of estimate possibly the ages of their children? Can you start to look at some of the things that they enjoy doing and some of the things they enjoy eating? You'll see from the one on the left-hand side, they're buying cat litter. The one on the right-hand side there is buying dried dog food. So what does that tell you about them and their families? And so we look at kind of what are the similarities and differences in their circumstances. And although this might not seem like a direct link to AI, this is exactly what the big supermarkets are doing. They're taking this data and they are profiling their shoppers. They're building up a picture of who this person is, what do they like, what do they do, what are they buying. We then take it on to look at an activity around the idea of big data. And I was kind of racking my brains of, right, how can we collect lots and lots of data in class? And I thought back to an activity I used to do in maths, which was with dice. And so in this activity, children work, they have 2 dice each, and they roll both dice, they add the total, and then they record it on tally marks on their whiteboard. And they maybe roll the dice for 10, 15, 20 minutes. And in a class of 30 students, in that time, you can get up to about 10,000 data points, which is then big data. We're talking, a lot of data, too much data for the children to be able to kind of work through manually. So what do? We use a computer, and we insert their data, and I usually get them to come. I'll have the spreadsheet open at the front, and they'll come up and insert their data into the spreadsheet. And over on the right hand side of this, they start to see the distribution starting to appear of the dice totals. And as we start putting the data in, the spreadsheet is already set up, and this can be downloaded from the Science on Stage website as part of the resources. They see that the spreadsheet automatically does all the calculations for them. And over on the right hand side, as they're working, it automatically starts plotting the distribution of the dice totals. And so as you go through the whole class, as each one of them has entered their data, you can see there in this class, we had over 2,000 data points, 2,000 rolls of the dice. And you can see we've got an almost perfect distribution graph appearing on the right hand side. And what I usually do with them at this point is we then look at, well, what are the chances? And we do some calculations together, or with the older ones, I'll do them on their own to work out whether the chances that we found out from our practical experiment match the theoretical chances that they think it should be. But it's a really, really nice introduction to big data and to why we need computers. Once the data sets get to a certain size, we need to have a computer, and then we need to have AI once the data sets get even bigger in order to process that data and make sense of it. Having a look then at some generative AI, this is a really, really lovely little activity. So this is writing a story, and each child writes the next word in the story, but they can only see the previous word. So as you write the story, you fold it underneath, and so they can then only see the word that was written before. So I usually give them a starter. So I gave them the word up, and then the first child was able to see up, but then folded it underneath. The second child could only see the word the, and then came up with fox, and so on. And you end up getting these lovely stories, and it's getting that understanding that this is exactly how large language models in AI work. They don't understand what they're writing. They will go back and kind of proofread it afterwards to make sure it makes sense. But at the time, they don't understand what they're writing. They're literally going, right, what is the next most likely word in this sentence? And then they put them together. Brings us on to large language models. I have used these at school with children. There's a couple of example writing prompts there. Very important, I think. There's a couple of heads up to always specify your word count and always put in suitable for the age that you're teaching. So what I would usually do with the children is I would have this up, either ChatGPT or Gemini, and I tend to use both. I go between them because I think it's good for children to see both. And I'll get the children to come up with ideas, and that way I'm filtering the ideas before they go into ChatGPT or into Gemini. Always include an age in there, and that makes sure that the vocabulary is appropriate. It makes sure that there's nothing inappropriate in the story. And both of those big large language models have got much better at making sure that nothing inappropriate is output. It can be a fictional story about an adventurous aardvark, or it could be a kind of biography or a factual story depending on what you want. We can do the same with images. This is another really nice activity. So I gave a group of children this prompt, just like I would put into an AI image creator. And so this is create a picture of a house with 4 windows, a door, a chimney, and 2 trees in the garden. And there's 3 examples there of what the children came up with. And then we'll put the same prompt into, and in this case, it's into Canva, and we see what it comes up with. And again, this is exactly how the AI works. It takes those clues from your prompt and turns that into an image. If you have access to Canva, I would say that the image generator on Canva is as good as I've come across. And what I particularly like about it is it has very, very strong filters. It's almost as if it's been designed for children to use. So I would quite safely in class let the children use the image generator on Canva. And it's really good, especially I teach engineering and creativity. And if the children are designing something, it means that they can come up, put in their prompt of what they're thinking, and it will give them some ideas. This one here, you can see there, realistic photo of an eagle with snow-topped mountains at the back. Okay, yeah, brilliant. So George has just put in the chat that every teacher can request Canva for education for free, which includes Canva Magic, and it is absolutely brilliant. And certainly in my school, we have all the children now have a Canva account and use Canva as a design tool. Just to finish off, and I wasn't really talking about machine learning today, but on Zooniverse, which is a citizen science project website, a lot of the projects on there involve machine learning. There was a brilliant one a couple of years ago called the Plastic Tide, and it was all about teaching satellites to identify plastic on beaches, so they could then send people there to clean the beaches. There's one at the moment which is all about giraffes in Kenya, and it's looking through lots and lots of camera trap images and identifying the giraffes, and they're teaching the computers to recognize giraffes and be able to spot giraffes so they can keep tabs on the giraffe community. And finally, that's me. The QR code on there will take you to all the resources. Thank you very much for your time.
Hello, everybody. My name is Cláudia Meirinhos. I'm from Portugal, like Nadine said. And I want to start my presentation by thanking Science on Stage for this opportunity, and especially you, Nadine, for all the collaboration and feedback during the publication of these materials. So the project that I presented in Turku was EcoKids Teach AI. And who are the EcoKids? EcoKids were my class last year, a second grade class, and they are superheroes on a mission to save the planet. And how this project, how the idea came to my mind was because I wanted to raise environment awareness. I want to talk about waste separation and recycling, engaging students through PBL in an interdisciplinary approach, also working the SDGs for 11 and 12. But most of all, I wanted to develop AI literacy in my students, the little ones. And these ideas, these 3 key ideas, I think there are seeds that we may plant and for later to grow in their minds. That is AI for sustainability, AI for good of humanity, and also AI as an ally. So I think this logo that Science on Stage made for this project is really, really the idea, the machines and the humans working together for good. What materials we use? We use computers, we use books and internet for research. We also use robots, the dog from Clementani, recyclable materials. Online tools, we used a block-based programming platform scratch like playground race edu to build the machine learning model in the Google Teachable Machine. We also played online quiz like in WordWall, and you may use quizzes or Kahoot. They are similar. But if we are talking about superheroes, they need a mask. So I made this mask with the reuse of the milk, the school packaging, and they loved it. And there they are with their masks on, receiving the mission. The mission was in this black magic box with stars shining. And the mission was, "Hello, Echo Kids. Are you ready for an incredible adventure? Your mission is to learn how to sort rubbish and train AI to do it too. Together, we'll save the planet and make our world cleaner and happier. Who's ready for some eco-friendly fun?" And they say, "Yay, teacher, let's go. We are superheroes. Let's go." And they enter into action. This was in a Friday, I remember, and during that weekend, the parents were sending me pictures through the classroom of the Eco Kids in action near their homes, separating the garbage for recycling the correct recycling bins. We also made lots of games in the classroom. We made games to separate garbage. Here in Portugal, the green is for glass, the yellow is for packaging, plastic and metal, and the blue is for paper. So we separated the class in groups to see who would take less time to do the correct separation. We also played online games and we made posters. And we also invented a game for the RoboDog, as you can see here. Here is the robot, also a little Echo Kid with with his mask on. And the game was, we also reused again the school milk package to build the recycling bins, and we made the cards for the game by cutting the supermarket magazines. And then I'm going to show you how the game worked. So here you can see they had to program the robot. First, they pick a card, they see, and they had to program the dog in the correct arrows in his head to take the garbage to the correct recycling bin. Uh, Then we passed to the training AI part. We trained a machine learning model in the block-based program. Here you can see in these pictures the students in groups, and they made the algorithms in Scratch. So here in the first pictures, they are choosing the extensions. Second picture, this student here is training paper. We trained 3 classes: paper, glass, and packaging. So it's really easy. It's they followed tutorials and step by step. So it was really easy for them because they already were used to do it. And during all this project, we built the EcoKids world. The EcoKids world, it's a frame VR space that we created, and the students uploaded photos there with my help, of course, photos and videos. It was like an exhibition, but this tool is better than some of the exhibition tools because You can enter at the same time, like in the free version, eight persons a time, and you can talk. You may chat together. I'm gonna show you. So here we are. This is the EcoKids world. So here we uploaded all the photos from the project. Here at right, you can see the photos from the RoboDog. Here at left, the photos from the recycling games. At the first floor, there is the part of training the AI. And here in this particular room, we call it EcoKids School, because here in this part we gather the games, recycling games in word wall. We have here a video teaching how to separate correctly the garbage. We also have songs. We had recycling songs. Uh, we saw some videos and we talked about what is machine learning, what is AI, always with the language adapt to their age level. So here is the direct link to the Scratch-like program that we used. I'm gonna stop sharing to show you the program. So if you already use this kind of program, you know that to build the algorithm you have to put all the blocks together. But to train an AI model using this program, you have to add the AI extensions that are down here in this corner, and you have to add the teachable machine and the also the text to speech. And then to train the model, you go to the teachable machine. So I'm going to stop the sharing and I'll share the teachable machine. So here in this is a Google platform. In this platform, we build an image project, a standard image project, and we created the 3 classes. Here, by default, only appears 2, but you can add another class down here. And so we write the name of the class. Here we wrote glass, here paper, here plastic or packaging. And then we trained with the webcam. That's what my students were doing by showing to the webcam the glass, and it took lots of pictures, so we could train the model. And here we click train, and then we exported the model to the Scratch program. So this is the program, the algorithm they built. We paste the link from the teachable machine here in the use model and the classes. So when we tested the AI, this little funny robot, if he identified glass, he would say, oh, he would first thought he was thinking about it, and then he would say, that's glass, so put it in the green recycling bin, so the glass recycling bin. So I can tell you that this was when I took these VR glasses, it was really, really wow moment. So during that day, they were inside their worlds. And this was a year-long project. So we made lots and lots of other activities. we've made virtual field trips to weight sorting plants because we were at that time we were not allowed to make it in person, but we made two field trips to recycling plants, and my students could see the whole cycle of plastic from the recycling bin, the garbage that they put there, to some new object made of plastic. In this facility, they transformed the plastic into plastic baskets to collect fruit and vegetables. We also didn't have the recycling bins in at our school, so we wrote a letter to our president of the municipality, presenting the EcoKids project, saying that we would be in Turku representing our town, Barcelos. And it was really an honor for us. And we had a big surprise after the Easter holidays. We received the recycling bins near our school. So this was the EcoKids project. Thank you very much for your attention. All materials are in the Science on Stage page, and you may access it all for free. Thank you very much.